You say you hate them. But hatred is never about them. It's about you. You think you're angry at the person who betrayed you, mocked you, outshone you. But what you're really angry at is the part of you that still feels small, unseen, unworthy. Samurai understood this. They didn't waste their blade on surface-level enemies. They cut deeper to the root, because they knew hatred is not an emotion. It's an infection. It disguises itself as righteousness, but it rots the one who carries it. And there was one forgotten warrior method whispered in temples, trained in mountain shrines that taught samurai how to dissolve hatred before it ever ruled them. It was called Kokon no Kiri, the cutting of the root. It didn't just remove the enemy. It removed the hook they had inside your mind. This is the samurai discipline to become unprovocable, unshakable, unbreakable. And it begins the moment you stop saying, "I hate them," and start asking, "What inside me still bleeds?" The maple trees burn red across the valley. Wind moves like breath over water, and the river below reflects nothing but fading light. On its bank, a young samurai kneels in silence, fists clenched so tightly his knuckles pale. His name is Ren, and in his chest is a storm he cannot control. One phrase loops in his mind like a poisoned mantra. I hate him, but hatred is never born on the battlefield. It is planted long before the first strike. It grows in the shadows, not from the enemy's sword, but from the fractures inside us. Ren doesn't know this yet. All he knows is that Daigo, his rival, humiliated him, laughed at him, exposed a weakness before the elders. And now Ren cannot sleep. He cannot train. His breath shortens at the mention of Daigo's name. His blade, once fluid and focused, has become wild, a mirror of his unrest. One day, during sparring, he loses control. His strike nearly injures a junior apprentice. Gasps echo around the dojo, and from the shadows an old man watches. Master Yorinobu, once feared for his precision, now revered for his silence. That night, Yorinobu finds Ren alone by the river and says only one thing. A man who hates gives his enemy a home inside his heart. Then he turns and walks toward the mountains, without invitation, without demand. But Ren follows, not to defeat Daigo, but to confront what lives beneath his own blade. The mountains are quiet. No banners, no glory, just cold wind, pine trees, and the cracked stone face of Kannon the Bodhisattva of compassion, watching from the shrine gate. Here, Yorinobu speaks without speaking. Ren is told to observe, to sweep the leaves, to breathe in silence. Until one morning, Yorinobu finally says, hatred does not begin with the other. It begins with the self. At first, Ren resists. Daigo is arrogant, cruel. He deserves. But Yorinobu interrupts. If Daigo truly had power over your spirit, he would not need to stand beside you. He would only need to live in your mind. And that's when it clicks. Ren begins to see it. He doesn't hate Daigo. He hates what Daigo awakened. The shame. The fear of being seen as weak. The memory of a father who always compared him to others. The quiet belief that he will never be enough. Daigo simply struck the wound, but the wound was already there. Yorinobu looks at him. Hatred is a mirror turned away from yourself. The training, now, must go inward. At the heart of the shrine, Yorinobu teaches him a forgotten discipline once practiced by warriors before battle. Not a sword form, not a fighting stance, but a mental technique. Kokon no Kiri, the cutting of the root. A way of dissolving hatred before it poisons action. First cut. Naming the true wound. Ren is ordered to sit before a mirror for hours, not to correct his posture, but to speak out loud the truths he never wanted to see, not about Daigo, but about himself. Speak the wound, or be ruled by it. Ren begins. I feared being laughed at. I was compared to others as a boy. I wanted to be admired, not seen. Each confession is a thread, cut one by one. Hatred cannot survive in truth. It requires illusion, denial, blame. But the moment you speak what hurts, the fire loses its fuel. Second cut. Separating the person from the pain. Yorinobu places 2 stones before him. One is Daigo, one is your wound. Ren stares and sees it. He fused them, made them one. But they are not the same. Daigo is a trigger. But the pain? That belongs to him. Hatred ends the moment you stop confusing the person who touched the wound with the wound itself. Third cut, returning to center. Now when hatred rises, Ren is taught to breathe, to drop into Zanshin total awareness, to feel the pull and choose stillness. He learns not to fight hatred, but to refuse to serve it. And this is the edge of mastery. A warrior cannot stop emotions from rising, but he can stop them from ruling. The test comes suddenly. Yorinobu sends for Daigo. Ren doesn't protest. Not because he's ready to fight, but because he no longer needs to. Daigo arrives as expected, smug, sharp-tongued. Still trembling? He asks. Yorinobu gives Ren a broken wooden sword. This was the weapon you held the day your hatred was born. Ren grips it. The old emotions rise like ash. But this time, he sees the separation. He names the wound. He breathes. And nothing breaks. He bows. Not in defeat, in power. Daigo is confused. Ren is calm. Yorinobu says nothing, but the smile in his silence says everything. Back in the village, Daigo confronts Ren again, this time in public. He tries to provoke him, tries to reclaim power, but Ren responds with only one sentence. What you say cannot reach the place where I now stand. And the silence that follows is louder than any retaliation. People begin to notice. Ren doesn't shrink anymore. He doesn't flare either. He listens. He moves like water. He speaks like stone. There is a stillness in him now that softens the room, even as it sharpens the mind. And from this stillness, he becomes unshakable. You do not hold a katana, but you hold wounds just the same. Wounds from betrayal, from comparison, from rejection, from failure. You may not hate with swords, but with silence, with bitterness, with sarcasm, with distance, with perfectionism, with jealousy. These are modern forms of the same poison. So, practice the same method. 1. Name the wound, not who hurt you, but what was wounded inside. What part of you felt small, invisible, ashamed? 2. Separate the trigger from the pain. Whoever reminded you of the wound is not the source of it. Once you see that, you're free. 3. Return to center. Every time the fire rises, breathe. Step back. Choose presence. Don't feed the flame. Just witness it. And let it pass like wind through pine. Hatred fades not through force, but through understanding. Cut the root, and every shadow that once ruled you will fall away, like a thread severed clean. Who or what have you been hating? That is actually just pointing to a wound you've avoided. What part of yourself is still looking for proof that you are enough? What would your spirit feel like if no insult, no failure, no rival could shake it? If this story resonated with you, like this video, subscribe, press the bell, and share it with someone walking their own warrior path. Our other stories should be appearing on your screen now. Watch them next, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time with a brand new video.